Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to, inshallah, finish up just a few finishing comments. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. A few finishing concepts about children is, I personally believe that the vast majority of our problems in the world today are directly related to how we raise our children. And we're told in the hadith that كل مولود ولد على الفطرة وأبواه يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه, that every child is born on the inherent nature, and the inherent nature is to incline towards the truth and to submit. So if you raise them appropriately, they will grow naturally like a tree. A tree by nature will grow straight and tall and give its fruit. But if there's a rock over that tree will go crooked and move another way and then find another way up. This is the nature of the world, that any biological life has a normal way in which it grows and manifests, and the only thing that will change that is obstacles outside of itself or manipulation within itself, like they're doing now with genetic bioengineering. If you look at a child is by nature will grow upright physically. It starts crawling, or literally on its side, and then it moves to crawling. And then it will stand up, it will begin to move up, and then it will begin to walk, and then it runs. And this is its nature, and it will walk upright. The same inside, the spiritual nature of the child. The child by its nature will trust. That is the nature of a child, to trust. It believes its parents. A child learns mistrust. Another thing that Ibn Khaldun radiallahu anhu said, I think really, to me it's one of the most profound things about education that I've ever seen. In the Muqaddimah, he says that one of the things that the Arabs do with their children is that they beat them. This was in his time. They beat their children. And he said that what physical abuse teaches children is to be deceptive and to use makr and hila and khida' to get what it wants. That's literally what he says. That it will use strategies and machinations and trickery to get what it wants, and it will also learn to lie. Because if a child fears physical retribution for something it's done, it will begin to tell lies because it's afraid of being harmed, and it has a right in that way to avoid, because our nature is to avoid harm. And if it means saying something, now before 7 a child is not capable of lying. And you can debate with me on that all night long, but I will maintain that because according to the Sharia, before 7 a child does not have tamyiz. So a child, you can say, I know he lied to me. A child is still in the imaginary world. And if a child breaks something, it's 5 years old, and you said, who broke it? And it said it just fell off. Now the child may have done that, but within the child's mind, it is perfectly acceptable to imagine that something else happened because of unpleasant consequences. Whereas if the child knows that you're not going to do anything to it, it will tell you, I did it. If it doesn't have that fear. If you get angry at a child, and this is why you can't get angry at children, you can't lose your temper with children. They are our teachers. They're meant to teach you patience. They're literally our teachers. You're not supposed to get angry at children. It's unfair. Literally, it is unfair. And you have to learn to control your anger. And if the child makes you angry, see it as a reflection in your own state. You have to change yourself. The child is being a child. This is not like permissive Dr. Spock type of West Coast, Berkeley, granola, let them do whatever they want philosophy. This is based on Sharia. This is how our Sharia looks at it. And the best example, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He is the best example. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never, ever got angry at a child, nor did he ever raise his hand to a child. Ever. Never. And you will not find any hadith where he did that. The famous hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, which most people know, he asked Anas to do something, and Anas said, no. He said, La afa'alahu. And the Prophet ﷺ smiled, and he walked out of the room. Now Anas at that age was about 6 or 7 years old. The Prophet literally smiled, and he walked out of the room. And then he came back a little while later, he said, Anas, did you do that yet? And he said, I'm going right now. Because this is the nature of children. Children test limits. They want to see what they can get away with. They want to feel you out. It's just, this is their nature. If you don't engage in his little game, then he's going to respond appropriately. But if you react, then he sees, okay, I know he gets mad. If I say that, he gets mad. And then when he wants to do it, he can do it, because now he knows buttons. Children learn quickly machines. A little kid, a 2-year-old or an 18-month-old, they get those little machines, they learn. You push that button, the cow moves. You push that button, the lamb does something. They have these little buttons. They learn these things. They also learn with adults. They know, whenever I cry, Mom shows up. It's amazing. And so he learns that. He learns to cry. They learn to do tantrums, things like that. This is all learned behavior. We taught them. And anger is the same thing. When you get angry, you change the state of the room. There was a scientist that I heard in Pakistan who got angry at some doctor because he was using the Quran to treat people. And he went visited him, and he said that he's teaching people superstition, this and that. And the man said to him, he told him that he was a donkey or a dog or something. The man got angry. He kept calling him a dog. He got more and more angry. He was ready to kill the man. He said, I just called you a dog, and look at how you changed from a rational human being to a blithering maniac. And he said, look at the power of words, how they can change your state. You don't think the Quran can change people's states? I mean, all I said was one word and it changed your state. You don't think that Allah's words can change people's states? It's just because you don't believe in it. So words are powerful. If you put anger into your house, it changes the whole experience of being in that house. There are wives and children that fear the father coming home. Muslim houses, they literally fear the father coming home. When they hear the door, they get scared. That is haram. I mean, people wonder why our societies are in the states they're in. If your own house is like that your own family doesn't feel security in your house, how can you expect Allah to provide us security outside of our homes? So children have a right to be treated with dignity, to be treated with respect, just as the Prophet ﷺ gave them. And if you do that, they will do extraordinary things. They're spiritual beings by nature. They will amaze you. They'll surprise you. They'll begin to teach you. When you get to the age, the other thing about, people forget this, before the age of puberty, education is mustahab. And what's mustahab is Quran. And now they have these 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds giving them homework and punishing them if they don't do these things. That is not from our deen, I guarantee you. And that is not how the Muslims, when they were in power and in the greatest periods of their history, this is not. And we have many treatises on education to testify to this. This is not how they were treated.